Welcome back to the secret underground lair. So since our last episode where we had done a test cut of the tenon, which is this piece here, I had about a 1/8 inch gap between the edge of the piece and the leg. And I thought I would just cut a little bit off the tenon. Well, I went back and checked and found out that the router had actually slipped a little bit and wasn't cutting the 1/2 inch height that I wanted. So I redid these mortises, just went up another about a little more than 1/8, probably 3/16 of an inch, deeper into each of the mortises. So now the tenons are fitting perfectly. Well, not quite perfectly. There's a little bit of finesse I need to do where the tenon was cut off, but what I'm going to do at this point now is go through this stack of material that I have here. These are all the other sides. So the side panels and the back panels for this particular table, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other table. So we're going to cut all the tenons for both tables, and then we should be in a position to do a dry fit. How about that? So with all of the tenons, I'll call it rough cut, I need to cut off this little shoulder here and here. These are about 3/4 of an inch, just so that we have because the mortise is only 3 inches wide, so we're going to cut that little shoulder off. So I'll set the saw up to do that little cut, and then we'll be going time lapse again while we get all these things removed. So I wanted a little bit more backing on my board when I put it through the saw like this, just to take off this shoulder. So this is simply a piece of MDF that I've screwed to the back of my miter. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just a little bit bigger piece. Now I can hold it here comfortably, safely. Just put that through. So these cuts are going to be made once through this way, flip it around, once through that way, flip it end for end, through, flip, through. So that's what I'll be doing for these 8 pieces that you can see here on the side. Then I'll bring over the 8 pieces for the other table. We'll cut those notches, and then finally the last little bit of cutting will be over to the bandsaw and just to cut down to the line that we have made here. Actually, take that back. These cuts are going to be made this way. Good thing I caught that. These cuts will be made this way, this way, this way, then this way. For this next operation, I'm just using the bandsaw, and I'm just going to push the wood through just to take that little line off, and this piece will fall away. So very short, like just a 1/2 inch cut, but lots and lots of cuts. So back onto time lapse as we go through all these pieces. our first dry fit. I've got the back pieces set loosely in there, well, dry fit in there. So let's go bottom left, top left, top right, bottom right, right, front left, there we are. Oh yeah, I'm liking it. And just for fun, I'm gonna put the top on. I can't put the shelf in yet, but I'll get the top on. There's the first look at the table without any drawers or the bottom shelf on. But I'm quite pleased with that. That's looking pretty good. A little bit of trimming to do on the top piece. And you can probably see there is a little bit of undulation here. Kind of gives a little bit more of an organic feel to the piece. And the reason that's there is I didn't run that through the router sled. That was just sanded. But I'm going to keep that. I don't want to lose that element. So a little bit of trimming to do. Figure out the bottom shelf here now. I want to make sure that's right. We are well on our way. I'm liking the look of that. So the joinery works. Next thing too is going to taper the legs. First we're going to make a little decorative cut in here all the way around, just about a 1/16 of an inch deep. And then we're going to taper the legs down to 3/4 of an inch on the bottom of each of those. So in our first dry fit, overall I'm very pleased with the result. The joinery is just fine. However, I have made a slight miscalculation in that the sides, all 8 of the sides, that's sides on both pieces, both tables, are about a 1/16 of an inch too long. So that's supposed to be exactly 18, and I'm 18 and a 1/16. And even applying pressure, I just put a clamp on here to try and force the joint in as tight as it'll be, and yeah, I'm out by a 1/16. Doesn't seem like much, but the top is designed to be a flush fit with this leg. So I'm going to take a 1/16, maybe 3/32 of an inch off every side, just to bring that back in a little bit. But that's why you do a dry fit. Just final check of all these little dimensions. So I'll take these 2 tables apart. I have them both set up with the dry fit. So I'm going to take them apart now, do that cut on all the sides, and taper the legs while we're at it. Okay, so this operation is very similar to the cutting the tenons. I just set the fence up, and I have the piece now positioned up against the fence such that I'll call it the shoulder of the piece is about 3/4 of the way through the blade. That would give me 3/32 of an inch. So let's put you back on time lapse and we'll go through all these pieces. So it'll be one cut this way, flip it over, one cut this way, set it off to the side. Okay, now that we have our sides, and I'll cut back 3/16 of an inch, we're going to work on the legs. So the first operation on the legs is we're going to cut that little decorative notch that goes all around the leg before we do the taper. That decorative notch will be helpful in setting up the leg on the tapering jig, just because it gives us a nice definitive mark. So the operation here is take every leg, run it through 4 sides, side to side. So there's our little decorative notch in every leg. Next step will be cutting a taper on there. But first, a bite of lunch. So post lunch, start the leg tapering jig and kind of inch this up to get the first pass and setting of the angle correct. So that'll give us, takes 1/4 of an inch off the bottom here and leaves the edge surface right at this line that we cut, that little decorative element that we cut. So that's exactly the angle that I want. And I put a little, with the nail gun, just stuck a little strip in here so that I can set the leg exactly in the same position every time. The fence is set the way we want it to be. So now it's just a simple case of rotate and cut. So there's our leg. We got that perfect taper on it. Just at the end, that's exactly what we're going for. So I'll do that for the other 7 legs, but before I do that, I'm going to move this clamping mechanism up to here, just so that I'm not clamping down on a tapered portion of the leg. So I'll just move that up to here. Be back in a minute. All right, just move the clamping mechanism back a little bit. And we're put the second leg in. Got the other 6 legs set up over here. So going back on time lapse, and we'll just get through all these legs. So with our legs now cut, mortised, tapered, decorated, I'm going to give them a once over with some 80 grit paper, just to kind of clean up the scorch marks and a couple little saw marks that remain, and just kind of take the sharp corner off, sharp edge off each of the legs. Okay, with all that sanding and stuff out of the way, we'll do one more dry fit. We have a dry fit with the tapered legs. Did a quick measurement here, and we do have our 18 inches from there to there. That's just perfect. In fact, it's going to be a little bit less by the time those clamps get tightened in, so it'll probably be about a 16th or 32nd less than 18 inches, which is going to be perfect. So, very pleased with that result. I'm going to work a little bit on the top now just to kind of deal with the undulation that occurs on the bottom side. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is put it on the router sled and just even it out a little bit. Alright, so this is the top of the table. The table itself, like the oak pieces themselves, are just over an inch, about an inch and a 16th or so, maybe an inch and 32nd. Not quite, not an inch and a quarter. So I had glued on a little strip here to get us up to an inch and a quarter, in fact a little beyond an inch and a quarter. But because the top is kind of undulated, this piece, the piece I put on here, are also a little bit undulated. So I'm going to use the bed rail router sled just to try and even that up a little bit, see what I have left. And I may need to put another strip on there yet, but we'll see how this works out. The challenge I've got, of course, is when I put these pieces on, I use my little nail gun, so I have these little tiny nails in there. And I know that going over this with the router, I'm going to hit those. So I have an old bit in here, which I think has had its share of nails. So I'm not terribly worried if I do hit a nail and nick this bit. That's going to be okay. Let's just take a little bit off here. We'll do this side first, this one edge, to see what we get. Came out a little better than I thought. So I'm going to go down just a 32nd of an inch here. Just take off a little bit more. I'm not being as bad a shape as I expected it was in. Come down just another 32nd though. One more pass. Although I think before I go down too far, I'm going to go around the whole piece just to make sure that I don't wind up gouging more than I need to out of making heavier passes elsewhere. So a 32nd will probably even up this side just fine. This side's going to have a little bit deeper undulation in it that I just need to wedge this side up a little bit. We'll make another pass over the entire piece and see if we can get this evened up a little bit. Okay, we're at the point where just another 32nd will be fine. Now, I did hit a couple nails here, so I'm going to use a nail set, just drive those in. Avoid hitting them again. All right, we'll go down to 32nd. Do that one more time. Now, truth be told, I think I took a little more off there than I intended to, but bottom line is we will now have a flat surface, so it's going to sit perfectly on top of our table. So let me take this out and see what we got. That's exactly the fit I'm looking for. So across the back here, this will slide forward a little bit. So we just have a nice, well, there's just no gap all the way across there. That's perfect. And across here, we have no gap. And what we do have on the top of the table is a little bit of undulation, but without any gap below. So this is going to be good. Same thing on this side. No undulation at all. Perfect. And that's how I want the front edge to line up. That's perfect fit. That lining up perfectly there. So little bits of fine finish here and there. And we're good, but that's nice. It's gonna work. All right, I'm gonna do exactly the same process on the other top. Get that to fit as well as this one does. All right, I got the second top nicely leveled out on this little filler piece. Very happy with the result of that. So now we're going to move on to the shelf and notching out the shelf, same size as the top, but it needs to be notched out in every corner to accommodate the leg by 1 1/4 inches on each corner. So we'll get that set up and measured and figure out how we're going to cut that. So I've got our shelf marked now, all the corners, 1 1/4 inch square. I've marked top and bottom on this piece. So I'm going to go over to the bandsaw and I'm going to make all the cuts that I can, which would be this one, this one, this one, and then this one. Flip the board over and make the other cuts. Since it is marked on both sides, I'll know exactly where to cut. Alrighty, here we go. Moment of truth. Okay, this is the point where everything falls apart or comes together. Be a little bit tight at the back. So for a first fit, I'm reasonably pleased. So take a little bit off here, a little bit off here, this end, and a little bit off there, and probably a little bit off here. So just some very minor tuning. Overall, boy, I'm pleased with that. I'm really pleased with that. So that's kind of the overall look of the table from the back, and the front will look very similar. except instead of those solid pieces, we'll have drawers. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So there's a complete dry fit. Joinery in place. I'm going to call that a video. Please like and subscribe. I won't have a video up tomorrow. I'm taking a run up north, pick up some more material. I have an opportunity to pick up some ash logs, a barn beam, and I'm hoping a couple oak logs as well. And some barn remnants, if all goes really well. So thank you again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.